All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for tuning again today in this program, this edition of Sit and Talk. Today I come back again to talk to you about this promotion that we're doing right now about this new book that I have. It just came out, and I'm sure that next week, should be certain that the book will be online. Everybody can have a copy. Like I said last time when we met together, I was encouraging you so you can get, pre-order your book so you can get your copy before actually hit the website retailers. The company, the publishing company that published the book is CFP, Christian Faith Publishing. And so I encourage you to go to their website and look for the title of the book, Learn to Lose a Little, to gain much more in return, understand the law of reciprocity. And then if you don't want to go by the title, you can actually type my name, Pierre Fenelon, and then you can see my book under my name, and that way you can pre-order your copy. And then beside that, you can continue if you want to use that like I mentioned last time when we were together, that you can use it to offer a good gift to your friends for special occasions, as we are moving to Thanksgiving now, and also Christmas after that. So from now you can actually make plans for those events coming up and other reasons, for instance, anniversary, birthdays, and all those stuff. If you want to give a good gift, you can use that to both men and women and children also, because this book, it doesn't have any reason for you to be worried about the content and everything. Everything is pure, and it's for everyone. We're going to talk about that a little bit in details today, but I just want to come to you today and to say hi and welcome back to our program. And also specifically, this is an addition to promote this book. We're not going to do any teaching today as far as Bible study and lessons and everything like that. So we're going to be focusing more on the promotion of this book. I would like to invite you, as soon as you get you find out actually the book is online, make sure that you give the good review about this book. I'm going to talk about a little bit in details today, is what's in the book. I have some notes. I have to look at my notes before I forgot what I was doing. So I also have to use my glasses because I'm not able to see as I used to, and so I have to use that to be able to see what I'm looking at. And so we're going to discuss, this is what we have in your agenda today. We're going to discuss about the book. As I mentioned earlier, the title of the book is Learn to Lose a Little to Gain Much More in Return, Understand the Law of Reciprocity. So we're going to discuss the title. And also we're going to be discussing about some other things. So now let's begin right away with this, because we don't have a lot of times, and I think time is running out really fast. So we got to make sure that we hit all the points really fast, so that way we can get deeply into our discussions for today. I'll be with you right now, as for some of you who already know me, or some of you who don't know me. My name is Pierre Fenelon, and I'm the host of this program on YouTube called Sit and Talk. So today we're not discussing anything about Bible study like we've done numerous times before. So today we're going to be discussing mostly about this new book that I've been presenting to you, we've been talking about so far. So we said the title, number one. Let me say something here so you can kind of like, see where we're going about this book. The title of this book, Learn to Lose a Little to Gain Much More in Return. And then the subtitle will be Understand the Law of Reciprocity. You're familiar with this. You probably never thought about it the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to present it to you now. I'm going to explain it to you. When you say learn to lose a little, so you see, nobody in this world purposely ever done anything. Like, let's say, for instance, you're in a game, you're in competition, you are competing for something. You never purpose in your heart, oh, I'm going to lose today. You never done that. You always strive to succeed and to win always. But sadly, life is not like this. Life, you're prone to lose anyway. You know what I mean? You have to make the effort in order to win. That's the reason why we see the athletes. They will be out there, I would say, hurting themselves in some ways, in a positive way, to be able to be in the shape that they need for this reason only, because they want to win. So when they're competing, when they're playing the game, whatever the discipline is they're competing in, they will be able to perform well and get good score, great points, you know what I mean? And then at the end, they'll be, succeeded, and they will be crowned champion. So that's the thing. But for those of you who have never been an athlete, or you have been in athletics such as myself, and now you kind of like retire, you don't engage into sportive events or discipline or whatever. Or every now and then you go out there, you walk, you do a little jogging, you weight a little bit, lift a little bit of weight, and you do some, treadmills and stuff like that, but you're not doing it in the same breath like you used to many years ago when you were younger, in a sense, because of the fact that you're not competing anymore. So you see there's no need for you to be kind of like, deeply and strongly and very, I would say, efficiently working out every day and discipline yourself so that you can compete later on. For many of you, the reason you probably didn't make it so great because you had an injury, either in practice or sometime, while you were playing, and then that actually end your path to become, a very excellent player, whatever you were striving at. And my heart goes out to, because I had so many injuries too while playing soccer and everything, and I recovered some, but there's one actually had a knee injury that I recover from it because I can work okay, but every now and then if I'm trying to run or do anything like that, not even thinking about it, just remind me that you can't do as much as you could. And if I try to play soccer or do anything as far as on my feet, then I have to put a knee brace, in order to give you some support so that I can do whatever I'm doing. So I said a lot of things just to tell you what I was going to tell you. What I want to tell you is this book, the title, is kind of like, a spiritual version of the physical, version that the things that you've done every day, you don't even notice. You don't even think about it. So the title actually is kind of like a rendition of what we know from the agricultural, process. You got to lose a little bit. For instance, for those of you, the farmers, they know that very well. They get a few seed, a few grain, if you will, and then you open the ground and you put it in there. For those of you who are gardening at home, you got a little pot right there, and then you do all these little things you do at home. Basically what you're doing is you are losing a little bit of what you have. You know what I mean? With the expectation that what you put in the ground, and then you can harvest it later in immensity. You see what I'm saying? So that's what you're doing. And so what happened to the farmers, those who are like professional, in that sense, this is how they make their living, they know better what I'm telling you now, because they know exactly the process. They know what actually they need to put in the ground in order to amass, a large quantity in the harvest. But the principle is not only to put in the ground, but there is a process where, constantly you come along and you have to kind of, get rid of the weeds, clean up a little bit, just put a little bit of water here. And for the farmers, they use irrigation. This is the term they use, because they have a huge quantity of land and they have to do that so that way they can. And then also there's something about season. You cannot put in the ground any seed at any time. There's a certain time the seed is not going to sprout. You're not going to have a tree. You're not going to have fruits, and then basically you're not going to have a harvest. It's a waste of time, a waste of money, a waste of energy, a waste of resources. So this book is, the title of it, Learn to Lose. You see, the thing is, the key word is learn. You know what I mean? Because for many of you, what happened in your life, you are so, cling on the idea of winning, but you do not understand certain things. There's a few, terms that I use in the book that actually has to do with, when you think about competition. For instance, soccer, for instance. I'm using this because I'm more familiar with this, because I have been a soccer player all my life. There's a part of a chapter, a segment in the book called permutation. That permutation idea is, for instance, you allow something to happen to you on purpose so that you can gain. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. I was really bad, kind of like in a bad, I would say, a good bad, I would say, in a sense. When I was playing soccer, I love doing that to people. I love to make people play really bad. If I have the possession of the ball and I'm coming to you, I would do things to make you open your legs, and I will pass the ball through. And then when I do that, you see the whole crowd goes, "Ha!" And me personally, when I do that 2 or 3 times in a row to one person, one player in the field, the last one I'll give up. I just drop on the ground and just dying laughing. It's just something that I have trained myself to learn to do, to make you play really bad and then make fun of you right there in the field. It's so embarrassing, because when you do that. But I just introduced that term called permutation. Sometimes what happened, though, I will let people do that to me, because when I'm looking at the strategy we're playing, if I see like I'm surrounding with like different opponents, different angles, there's no way I can pursue to go through all of you, and then I don't want to get injured, because most of the time when you go through and then you have 2 or 3 players playing good, some people playing so nasty, they can go for your ankle, you can go for your leg, any place, and then you get injured, you get hurt, and then all of a sudden that's it for you. You just only play your last game. So what I would do, I would advance with the ball, and then in a sense, and then let's say, for instance, if I lose the ball, and then you're coming toward me, so I create a way for you to make the ball go through my legs, and then when the ball passes through my leg, I simply turn around and get possession of it and pass the ball and drop it back to my colleagues on the field, so to my teammates. So that's what I would do, and then I will make you play that over and over and over again, and then I'll keep moving on, and I do other things. And so in life, we have, if you think about it from a soccer game perspective, so you have all those players on the field. Everybody is moving around. We also, in life, we are moving around too in this life. We have a goal. We have a place that we want to be. You know what I mean? We have something that we like to achieve in life. But the thing is, many of times, like I said, when we're focused too much on success, what happened though, we lose faster, because there are times you have to accept that loss in order for you to advance. A loss that's not going to hurt you, just like you do with a seed you put in the ground. You let's say if you're kind of like trying to harvest corn, you might take about like 4 or 5 pieces of corn and you put it in the ground. So you expect a harvest about like 3 or 4 a kernel of corn, or 5 the most. So that's what you're doing. You accept to lose that kind of thing, but in reality you don't lose them. You just use them in that fashion in order for you to bring more to your life. And I think if you understand that that strategy, sometimes you have to do something like that. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but there are times in order for you to advance in life, there's some group of people you have to accept to lose them in your life. I'm not saying in a sense you get rid of them, but you just kind of like, put them on hold. You lose them in purpose. You might find someone to say, let me give you an example like this. Somebody will say, oh, I never heard from you anymore. You used to call me. Well, things are a little bit different now. I've been busy and everything. You don't need to tell them, okay, I need to get to that position of you're holding me back and everything. There are times you might be able to talk about that, but in reality, what you're doing, you are utilizing the strategy of losing this person in your life because they're holding you back. You want to get to that place you want to be. You understand? But not in a arrogant way and by saying, hey, you know what, you're so bad in my life and I don't want you anymore. No, you're doing it strategically. If you used to go to that person, place like let's say 4 times a week. Now you started, shrinking it by a little bit. Reducing in a sense your speed. And also you now you go 2 times a week, and then eventually until you get to a point, hey, I don't see you at all. That kind of stuff. So this is one of the examples. So the title is Learn to Lose. Okay. In the book, we kind of teach you how to lose. But like I said, in this book, we are not talking about the physical aspect. We're talking about the spiritual aspect of learn to lose a little. You see, there's another key word also, a little. You're not losing with huge amount. You're losing a little. Because with that little that you're losing, that loss you accepted of having, you're going to win big and big, 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 big. Now, there's no one in this life ever been successful that do not practice this principle that I'm telling you. You see, sometimes, let me give you an example. For those of you young people who are in college right now, or just graduated, you probably don't realize that, but you have lost a lot in order for you to get to the point where you need to be, in order for you to get your diploma, in order for you to get this degree. First of all, think about it this way. It's not like you're losing it, but you're doing something in purpose. What is it? You lose your money. Okay, that means you invest that money in there, for your education. You lose your time. That means you invest your time for your education. You understand what I'm saying? There are times you could have gone out, you could have gone out with your friends so that you can have some time, some good time. No, you lose that opportunity in order for you to invest it in a proper way. So that means instead of going out, you stay home or you stay in school and you go, you read more, you practice more, whatever the discipline you're learning now. And then you keep moving, with that, and until you get to a place, and then you're going to look back when actually the time they're handing you your diploma or they're crowning you as champion, you will see all the sacrifices you've made. You understand? You use that term all the time, sacrifices. But in reality, what you're doing, you are losing, you are using that principle of losing something a little so that you can get much more in return. So that's what you're doing. In relationship with husband and wife, even in a dating relationship, you can do that. You see, for instance, I'm trying not to give too much out of secrets here, but many of time you see a guy, ask you to go out, but many of time you never discuss who's going to pay the bill. Who's going to, pay the tab. Most of the time when a guy's asking you out, you go to a restaurant. Okay, the guy go to a restaurant with you, or they make reservation and everything. They pay for it. They come pick you up. Now it's a little bit congested with the traffic everywhere, so people take Ubers now. Depending on the place you're gonna go, sometimes people go, they get really drug, they're afraid of driving back home, so that way they take Uber. Somebody has to pay for that. You know what I mean? And then you get to a restaurant, you sit down, you eat, you have a good time, you laugh, you enjoy the moment, you enjoy each other company and everything, and then you go home. But most likely the guy is going to take the tab. Why? So that's what the guy is doing. He's losing a little because he's going to get something better in return. It's kind of like investing a little bit right there. I don't want to get into details of what guys do, because you guys, you know what I'm talking about, and ladies, you know that. You like when a guy being a gentleman to you, treating you like a lady. You know what I mean? They take good care of you, especially in dating relationship. I think somewhere down the road, if you get to a place where you make it to the altar with that person and you get married, you know, sometimes this kind of like some of the things that we used to do, they kind of being lost and everything. So, but ladies, they know that too, because in order for them to be able to gain something, you know, from you husbands, they know how to do it. We use that term a lot in, you know, in a good way. I don't want to get in trouble with the ladies, right? They kind of like manipulate it a little bit, you know, to get what they want. But it is the principle that you're using here. You're using the idea of losing a little. So you give away something from your side, because you know in return there's going to be plenty. You're going to be so excited when it happens. Like I said, excuse me a moment. The book is not talking about the physical aspect of it. We're talking more about the spiritual aspect of life. Now, I'm going to return another time to be able to get into those principles with you concerning what I'm just kind of like, you know, reiterating to you right now about the spiritual aspect of it. Excuse me. Which is, we're going to see that there's a let me put it this way to understand, okay? Because there's so many things that I can go with right now. The book is so rich and so interesting, you know. I mean, I'm trying to not to give away everything at once. Let me put it this way. We are in a journey. The journey begins the moment, and I know this is going to be a little bit of I would say complication for some people, because you have a group of people who do not believe what I'm telling you right now. But it doesn't matter, regardless of what you believe of now. The science, if you go from a scientific, you know, route, you would see what I'm saying is true. So what I was going to say was, you begin this journey at the time of conception. Because some people believe that they begin the journey in this life when their moms gave birth to them. But in reality, the journey begins from the time of conception. You are a person from that moment on. Do you follow what I'm saying? And so it's important to make that, to acknowledge that. So that way you had a good, you know, understanding of the idea of you being in this journey. Okay, so you start the journey from the time of conception all the way to the last second when God calls you home, when you actually leave this earth. In other words, when you die. Okay, to be clear. So in your journey of this life, you're going to meet a lot of interesting things. Let me put it this way, and I talked about that in the book also. In the journey, you're going to go up the hill, you're going to go down the hill, you're going to go through the valley, you're going to go with, you know, the road that actually nice, you know, nice pavement, you know, asphalts and everything. It's smooth, you can drive all the way to the speed limit. Sometimes you exceed it, you know, you follow what I'm saying? But there are pathway also that are muddy, they are rocky, you know what I mean, they're wet and snowy. All these things, there are different types of road that you go through life. And so this is the kind of thing I'm saying to you from a physical standpoint. So there's a spiritual part of it. So this book is completely about the spiritual part of the journey of this life. So my job in this book was to just tackle some of the issue of life in order to express to you the idea, you know, of what you should do when you need to lose in order to gain much more. So you don't want to keep losing all the time, because I guarantee you're not going to win all the time. Matter of fact, you might lose more than you actually gain. You follow? And I used to kind of like to make fun of, just having fun with friends around and neighbors. And I know, not everybody, because, you never know. Usually, if I'm gonna, kind of like, have like a, joke or prank or something, I do with people that I know. I don't do with people that I know. So that way, you never know how people react. I usually tell people, okay, for instance, they play the lotto, or I don't know all the terms because I'm not into this thing. They do the scratch or whatever, but the idea is they give a little bit of money to purchase the ticket with the hope of winning big. Now, I am not talking about this when I take a learn to lose. When I'm not talking about learn to lose, I'm not talking about that, okay? Because this is not a principle, this is a waste actually. Because there's no guarantee of winning in there. You follow? You might, but what I was going to say, I was going to give it away, is the fact that, let's say you spend $1 today, and you spend another $1 another day, and you continuously do that, for the next 3 months. So 3 times 30, actually $90 for 3 months. Okay? Let's say you spend more than that. So you can multiply it for a period of time how much money you spent and you lost. Okay? The money not gonna come back to you. You're never gonna harvest this. You planted that for sure, but you never win it. Few people over the years might win the big number. Okay, but not everybody is going. So it's not a guaranteed principle. So I don't advocate that. You follow? But what I used to joke around with those people is the fact that I asked them the question: how many times have you? Because if they won something, let's say they spend about $2, and then they won something that actually be, let's say, $50, right? In that moment they're so excited. Oh, I won $50. But if you think about it, did they really win something? Because how many times they've been spending money, over the years? Because nobody ever spent $1 the first day and then bing, and then you win $50 the very first day. That would be considered a win. You follow? But they spend money over the years. I'm not talking about months, over the years. Spending, just to win. And then eventually one day, they win about like $3 or $4 or maybe $10 or the most, let's say $100. Do they really win? No, you don't. Because if you think about the math doesn't work. How many times you've been spending money, $1 is not even it out for you for the time you've been spending money. You follow? So I used to really make fun of some of those people around me that I know, not people I don't know. I make sure of that. And I don't make fun of people in a sense. I did just a joke, just also to kind of like, encourage them to stop wasting their money. But of course, they don't listen to me because everybody wants to win the big prize. But there's a guy who told me, a coworker a long time ago, and I saw him spending a lot of money, buying a lotto ticket, And I said, man, you're wasting a lot of money. He said, oh man, how would I win if I don't spend the money? I will never win. If I don't spend it, I will never win. And I think about that because it's kind of right, In order for you to win, you have to be participating in that. But the idea, do you really win? You follow? So in the spiritual part of this, what I'm telling you, in the journey of life, it's life, you came from some place, you are going to a destination. Few people are going to make it there. Not everybody's going to make it. But everybody can, only if they understand the principle, how to make it there. See, that's the reason why life's so a little bit, in some way, very obscure. You don't know everything. Because if you knew, you have done everything in your power not to find defeat, not to get sick, not to get into trouble. You see a lot of people, they constantly religiously out there train themselves to be physically fit. There are people out there, they're training themselves to be mentally alert, to be, intellectually kind of like, right there stood. So that's the idea. And you see that they're exercising in that area of their lives in order for them to get what they want. Unfortunately, sometimes life takes you to places, that you don't want to go. I'm not going to get into details about that. But what I want to guarantee you about this principle, learn to lose a little in order to gain much more. Let me give you an example so that you can see exactly what I'm saying. Many of times I have thought that, if let's for instance you see a mango tree, right? And that mango tree been around for many, many years. And for some reason, the owner decided, okay, excuse me, we had enough of this mango tree. Because they want to do something, have a new project, and the mango tree is in the way. So what happened? They decided they need to get rid of it. So they would cut it. They cut the mango tree in different pieces in order for them to go. In my mind, I said, oh, that's set for this mango tree. There's nothing else that mango tree can do because, there's no reason, to hope anything from it. But you know what? I realized something. The mango tree not going to produce mango anymore, but the tree or the woods are going to be useful for something else. You follow? If you live in an area where it's so cold, people lose logs, and they put it in there in the fireplace, so they can lit the fire and then to warm the house. The woods there are really useful. Or you can cut the wood, you create something crafty with it, as far as like, furniture or something like that, or as far as, do something very nice, you speakingly, and then you can create something very crafty, very beautiful with the wood. So there's always something you can do with something, even though they're in a state of lust. And then you use it so you can do something else to benefit from it. I go so far to let you know that even the log, when after it burns, you got the powder there, the ashes.